You're listening to Mark of the Maker.
This is Jeremy Horton, and you're listening to Mark of the Maker.
All right, that's our friend Jeremy Horton introducing the show. This is episode 75 of Mark of the Maker. I'm Mark Steiner. Jeremy was with us here at the New York Custom Knife Show here very recently. Did a little read-in for us, so thank you, Jeremy, for doing that. We're going to talk about the New York show, and then we're going to get on to some holiday picks kind of stuff. We've done that before, so this is kind of a 1-2 punch kind of thing. We'll see how it goes. We have lots to get through, so we have our usual crew with us. We have Mr. Michael Birch.
Here as usual.
We have Mr. Tom Krein.
Hey, everyone.
And we have Mr. Sean Kendrick.
A joyous holiday season to all.
Indeed. As usual, we always want to say thank you to our folks that support us through Patreon. Patreon is, I guess it's a subscription service, really, or a way to pledge money to creative causes that you enjoy. And so we have a very nice following through Patreon that group's constantly growing. Folks send us a couple bucks each month to help support the show and keep things moving, and we wanted to thank everybody for their help there and for keeping us moving. That money helps cover all kinds of stuff, from microphone shipping costs to equipment that fails, which definitely happens, and lots of other stuff, server costs and software and all kinds of other things that we need to do the show. So thank you very much to all of our supporters in our Patreon. And then we have a guy that's been supporting us for quite a while now. He's going to run us out through season 4 here. And Sean, you want to direct folks his way?
Absolutely. Folks, if you're looking to get titanium or any other exotic alloy you could possibly want, just head on over to AMXinc.com and they'll take care of you. George at AMX carries just about everything you need, from straight titanium to all of the exotic laminates you could possibly want, be it Mokutai, Zircutai, Dark Tie, Damascus, Damas Steel, you name it, he's got it. It's easy one-stop shopping. So head on over to AMX Inc. and tell them Sean sent you. That's American Metal Exchange at AMXinc.com. AMXinc.com.
Nice.
Smooth like butter, baby. Yeah, and we had a chance to talk to George. Thankfully, that's the first time I'd seen George in a long, long time. He was at the New York show as well, so we'll have some words from him here in a few minutes. So both Sean and I were at the New York show. So New York Custom Knife Show, NYCKS, this year in Nashville, which was kind of an interesting twist. Normally that show would be in Jersey City, across the river from New York City. Sean and I were there. Tom was not able to come, and Michael also wasn't there. But Sean and I were. We had a fine time there, didn't we, Sean?
I had a blast of a time.
It was a good show.
Pictures look like you guys had a blast.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. They were showing true.
We got to talk to lots of people. It was a small show in a fairly small venue, I would say. It's smaller than what the Jersey show typically was. I would say 2/3 the size, 3/4 the size maybe. It was quite busy. When doors opened on Friday, there was a bunch of people in there.
I guess that's what made it look bigger, because it actually did look bigger than the venue in Jersey.
Yeah, that's just my guess based on looking around the room. The room wasn't as deep as the Jersey show, and I would say it was about the same width. That would be my guess anyway. I don't know what the numbers of tables. I didn't count tables or anything, but there was a great representation of makers there. It was a really nice cross-section of folks. Regular, some of the very typical knife dealer crowd were there with some old school classic stuff, which was really nice to see. And then a whole bunch of makers. Les George was there, Sal Monero, Bill Rupel.
Wow.
Gosh, who else was there, Sean, that we should mention? A whole bunch of guys. John Graham.
Yeah, Bill Pease.
Yeah.
Todd Begg.
Yep. We're missing a bunch. All the West Tennessee guys. Well, Jason Stout was there. Jeremy Horton, obviously, the guy that read for us here at the beginning.
JB.
So yeah, there was a bunch of people there. It was a really nice show. It was It was quite busy. I wasn't there Saturday. I don't think, Sean, you were either, right?
Mm-mm.
So we were only there for Friday, but it was nice. We had a nice time. There was lots of stuff to see. I think it probably in some ways, Tom may have had a similar feel to what you had in Fort Worth, right? Where there's people kind of still just starting to get back into it a little bit.
Yeah, I can imagine that for sure.
Yeah.
Man, I thought people were really more comfortable at this one than at the last show I was at. People were a lot less standoffish. It just seemed more natural, more like the way it used to be.
Hell yeah.
It did have that feel where it felt very much like other knife shows from pre-COVID days.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, man, breath of fresh air. That was really needed it.
It was. All right, let's, we have a bunch of clips that we...
Literally breath of fresh air.
Thankfully. We recorded a bunch of clips on the floor. Sean and I were doing the roving reporter thing. We had the mobile rig with us. We posted some pictures in our Facebook group that my wife took of a couple of our conversations, which was kind of fun. And we talked to a bunch of people. They're little short clips, but at least it gives you a feel. This is a little bit like the read-in and some of the stuff that we did once upon a time at Blade Show, where you'll get a bunch of a little bit of the flavor of that buzz from the show floor and some conversations that we had. And this first one's from JB Stout, and Jason talks to us a little bit about the location change for this particular New York Custom Knife Show, and I think a good summary of how I think most of the folks that were there felt.
All right, so we're here with Jason Stout, and Jason's a regular at the New York Custom Knife Show in Jersey, and we're going to get his thoughts on the New York Custom Knife Show in Nashville. So how's the show been treating you, man?
Awesome. It's probably the best NYCKS show I've been to, and it's in Nashville and not New York. Honestly, it feels like the room is a little smaller, but it seems like there's way more people here. I don't know if it's just the current politics and climate of that, and it's affecting it that way, but it's definitely one of the best shows I've ever been to.
All right. Awesome, man. Thank you.
So, yeah, you can hear the optimism, I think, in JB's voice, right? And I think you heard some of that same stuff when you did Fort Worth, Tom? Some of that same kind of feeling?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, people at Fort Worth, people were just happy to get out, and, you know, it's time, you know, with the vaccines and everything, it's time to start getting out and enjoying shows and enjoying people's company. I wish I could have been there.
Oh, man, I wish you had. You would have had such a good time. Damn, man, there were some nice knives in that fucking room. I mean, really, it's such an eclectic group of makers across the show.
Yeah, I agree. There was great stuff there. I don't know. You know, this is always a hard thing, right? There's a part of it that I'm sure feels different, both from the knife perspective and from the people's perspective and from the buzz in the room perspective. You know that there's a bunch of influence of the fact that we haven't done this a lot over the last 2 years, right? There's been a little bit of show activity, obviously, some stuff here and there, but
right.
But I think that's definitely a factor in it, but it sure seemed like there was particularly good stuff there.
Yeah, man, that's my take from it too.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of this cool stuff that we saw at the show.
Yeah.
Sean.
Tell us about what you saw.
Yeah. So I made a note about, it must have been 2 years ago, right? When you were in New York with us, Michael?
I think so.
And
when you got the WW Crunk, Mark. Oh, that wasn't you. Never mind.
Oh,
Nice.
I should not have even brought this up for that reason. Yeah, funny.
Oh.
Yeah. So there's a lady that comes to the New York show. I'm going to butcher her name, so I apologize, ma'am. Grazina Shaw, and her website is Quintessential Cutlery, quintcut.com, I think. Does that sound right? Quintcut.com? Yeah.
Yeah.
And she has a couple of cases that always have killer stuff. That's where this this cronk was that we joked about or talked about a couple years ago on the show, that it had Westinghouse handles that I kind of hemmed and hawed about, and Tom's son ended up buying for him, I think for Christmas. Was that right, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I didn't get to spend enough time at her table to see if there was another cronk. I didn't see one in there when I walked by and glanced in the case. Sean and I were on the move, and I hated to look too close, but gosh, she had some killer things. She had a Moran in there, didn't she, Sean?
Dude, didn't she have two?
Wow.
Maybe so. Yeah. She's got one on her website. And I'm not sure it's the same one she had at the show. The one at the show is absolutely fantastic. The usual silver wire inlay and all kinds of stuff. Oh, man, it was just stunning. She had that row that knife was in was just kind of like, wait, that's a, whoa, what? That's a, all the way down. It was pretty cool.
Wow.
What about you, Sean? What did you see that kind of caught your eye?
Well, man, I don't want to go ahead and talk about anybody that we're going to run clips from.
Yeah.
Because, a lot of the clips we ran was stuff that I was ready to talk about. Let me see. Now, her table, definitely. When I stopped, it was just like, gosh, damn, where do I start looking? Because I'm seeing all of these really great knives.
Yes.
And then Steve, in his cases, man, he brought some real heat, too.
Steve Delac had some killer stuff there.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, really nice stuff.
Yep.
Sal, dude, loved what Sal brought.
Yeah, Sal Monero, yep.
Like everybody else was there with me, and they know exactly who the fuck I'm talking about. I guess I could use last names.
It was great to see Sal, too. It had been a long, long time since I saw him a couple years ago, obviously, since the last time I was at the New York show, I think. So there were a bunch of nice things there. One of them was Les George had a bunch of knives, and he had at least one trench, maybe two. There was one on his table when I first walked in the room that was all black blade, black knucks, in one of his 1918 trench kind of tribute knives, which was really cool. I didn't get to see it in person because it got scooped up before I got over there to talk to him, unfortunately. What he did have, though, was at least one of the USMC Raider daggers, which was pretty killer, and another all black knife. And I think maybe we shared did we share a picture of this in the Facebook group? Or maybe we just commented about it on Instagram.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, I can't either.
Yeah. Well, here's some comments from Les talking about that Dagger project. Les has got Dagger on the brain all day, every day. And so he's got a bunch of cool things in the works. He's going to talk about this Raider Dagger a little bit. So, Les, one of the cool things you've been doing are these 1918 trench knives, and you've done some different versions at over time. We've talked a bunch on the show about the kind of the puzzle piece together handle stuff that you did. And that was probably the first version.
That was the first trench knife I did with the dovetails, yeah.
And then, so now you had some handles casted, is that right?
Yeah, I had handles cast, and then I have to machine the internal features, the milling and the through hole.
Okay. And so you've done a series of those on your own, but then you've also got a bunch of collaborations going on with some makers, right?
Yeah, so I've approached a couple people to if they wanted to make a trench knife, because having that handle made is the big barrier to entry to doing those. So a couple people just kind of at random, I've been like, hey, you want to make some trench knives? And I'll send you the parts, and you make, I'll send you four sets or whatever. You send me back 2 knives and keep the other 2 and do what you will with them. And so I've been selling one of those knives and keeping the other one for myself. So I'm developing one of the most badass trench knives collections in the world, of course.
Right. No, that's the only way to do it.
It's a solid plan.
Right?
So one of the things that you brought here was something you just posted pictures of the other day, the Marine Corps Raider Dagger, right? All black handles. It's gorgeous. It's seen in person. In pictures, this happens all the time with knives where they look great in pictures if there's good pictures taken, but then you see them in person, it's like, oh, damn, that's cool. So I want to talk just briefly about that project.
So, like, one of the things I like to do is to take these old knives and kind of reimagine them with the interceding years of technology and material science that we've had, and try to do the same design intent that they tried to do back in the day, but with our new twist of not being involved in a world war that we know if we're going to win or not even. So, and just kind of do the same thought that they were trying to do, but with our technology right now. So, like the 1918 was one. The Strider or the Spartan V14 was one. And then now this Raider Dagger. So I took the Marine Corps Raider Dagger from 1942, which was designed by the same guy that designed the K-Bar, USMC fighting knife. The same guy designed this. He was a Marine at the time. He was a captain in the Marine Corps. I think that's right. That sounds about right. It starts with an S. I forget his last name.
He wrote a book on it. And
he was part of one of the books that they wrote on those knives back in the day. He passed away, I'll say in the 90s, I think. But he went on to be like a lieutenant, like a colonel or a general or something. But anyway, so the Raider Dagger I have now is full tang. It addressed a lot. The thing I like to do is address a lot of the concerns or the weaknesses that these designs had in the 40s. For sometimes it was just logistics, so they couldn't get done any differently. They had to save metal or strategic materials. So I try to do that without these limitations on them. And that dagger that you're talking about is what I came up with in response to the Raider Dagger design ideas.
It's like your take on that original.
Yeah, my take on a design, yeah.
Yeah, it's gorgeous in person. I think, like I said, the pictures don't do them justice. So if people get a chance, they definitely want to check them out. Yeah, that was definitely the case. That knife, I'd seen it in photos, and then I saw it there, and I'm like, damn, that looks good. Les, is this available? No. That's how it goes, right? So that's on my list for sure to get one of those. But yeah, really cool project and super, super clean. Just really nice work. So those were really fun to see.
That's a really good idea too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You know who else is doing a little bit of that is, not in a very different way, obviously, just because I think of his style and his approach to stuff, is Alan Leischwitz. Alan had, I think, a couple of his Eck knife, like his take on an Eck knife there on the table. So Alan, I think, had a bunch of folders and then two of his sort of like Eck tribute knives, I think. Really nicely done.
They were nice knives.
Yeah.
I haven't seen those. I'm going to try to see if I can find them by Googling around.
Yeah. I think he's showing them on his Instagram. I know he has them on his Facebook feed. I've seen him pop up there. He's always got a bunch of videos going and other cool stuff. Alan's doing some interesting things, showing folks some of the steps in the process from a knife making perspective. So that's been cool to see. And I thought it was really fun to see those pop up.
His shop always looks so good.
Yes. One of the other things that was interesting to see there, I guess I must have been asleep at the wheel, which often happens, but Jade Marsh has no longer part of the Starling Gear operation and is now with RMJ.
Right.
And so Jade was there at the RMJ table, and it was really cool to see the span of stuff that they brought to the show. Yeah, I was impressed by that. I know you guys were too, Sean. You and Rachel were definitely checking stuff out.
Oh, yeah, big time. We laid some money down.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I can't say in case Kane listens to this because it's for him for Christmas.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you after we record.
Little teaser there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you'll dig it. So here's a clip with Jade Marsh. Jade is talking with Sean a little bit about what RMJ has going on and just the pretty massive expanse of product that they have in the works and the stuff that they had at the show.
All right, so we're here at NYCKS in Nashville with Jade Marsh, and he's working the RMJ USA table, and they just have a plethora of good stuff there. And as you guys know, we're fans of RMJ. So Jade, talk to us a little bit about just the eclectic blend of badassery you guys brought to this show.
Well, as we're sitting here, I can look at the table and I can see everything from exotic leather saps to hardwood clubs to the most ridiculously sharp tomahawks, some silver, some brass, honestly a lot of fun stuff that every 11-year-old kid with a 50-year-old bank account would want to have.
Yeah, man, I cannot argue with that. And on that note, we are going to have to get you back on for a full episode, man. Too much cool stuff coming out of the RMJ shop, for real.
Yeah, a little teaser from Sean. So maybe we'll try to get Jade to join us in season 5.
Absolutely. I think everybody would enjoy that.
Yeah. Interesting guy, interesting background. He's doing a bunch of stuff there with RMJ. They have him, I think, helping with setting direction on some of the product stuff. I think his business card he handed me says Director of Operations, so he's definitely involved in what's going on and the flow of product and some of the things that they're doing there to try to help expand that business a little bit. And that's very exciting to see. So I think we're going to see a lot more fun stuff, right? We've talked before about how it's really cool to see Ryan just doing exactly what Jade said, right? I have lots of opportunity to be able to do fun things. I'm going to go do some. And we've talked about the clubs and the mace and all kinds of cool stuff that they've been doing. They had to, I don't know that I saw pictures of these online before, but they had 2 like huge juggling pins, right, Sean? They look like bowling pins, but like that you juggle at, like a guy at the circus would juggle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Indian clubs.
Yeah, those were pretty wild.
That's what they're called.
That's
is that
exactly
what
what Jade was calling them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know what those are for, right?
No.
I thought they were kind of a strength training thing.
Exactly. Yeah. So you use those and it builds your wrist for like using a sword or a tomahawk or whatever.
Okay.
So there's a whole range of like exercises and they're pretty awesome.
Nice.
I loved I wasn't in Nashville, but I saw them at Blade and I was talking to Ryan and I feel like this is the case and you guys can correct me, but it feels like so often Ryan has a muse or whatever and he kind of goes off on his stuff. And so often it's interesting how it drives the market from tomahawks to awls to saps to you just keep naming it and it's like he starts something and then the industry sees it and is like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, pretty neat. He's got a great, for him, it's a perfect fit. He kind of is Q or the mad scientist or whatever, and he just kind of prototypes stuff and builds stuff, and then the shop gets to make it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. We've talked about that before, how it's awesome to see makers having fun and doing cool things, and they're doing a ton of it. That's just the bottom line.
Yeah, straight up. And man, their saps are on just a whole other level. I like saps, and they're some of my favorites I've ever seen. They're so
They had
well
one
done.
at Vegas I wanted so bad. It had like the alligator butthole on it with copper in it. It was so cool, man.
Yeah.
It's a defect in the leather, and they made it something desirable.
My favorite one that I saw there, they had one that was just, a straight black leather sap with red stitching, and then butterflies and flowers embossed on it with a silver snap at the bottom.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
It really was.
I love their stuff.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of brands kind of under that umbrella, right, of work and companies and branding. And so we'll talk about that more. We'll save some of that. Jade said he would come on with us, so we'll try to do that in season 5. I think that'll be really interesting and have him talk about how all that complements one another and sort of how it all fits together. So that'll be a really cool future show. So I mentioned that we also had a chance to talk to George Palagonia, our guy from AMX, American Metal Exchange, and we just had a very quick thing and talked about the show and then kind of what it means for George as far as being present at shows, kind of in his role as a supplier to the industry.
All right, we're with George Palagonia of American Metal Exchange Inc. That's AMX Inc. for all of your exotics needs. So, George, you're set up here at New York in Nashville. As a materials supplier, why do you do shows?
Well, as a supplier, I still see the shows as like a print ad. So by coming to the shows, it just reminds people that I'm still relevant, I'm still in the business, still in the industry, and puts a face with the voice when you do call in.
Yeah, man, so true. Because, you miss 2 shows and people start rumors that you're dead. I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was cool. He was there with Chad Nichols, and they were sort of toward the back of the room. But George was super, super excited to be there. It was really good to see him and have a few minutes to talk, and it was fun.
Oh, yeah, I always like seeing George. I get along with George super well.
Yeah.
He's always good to talk to and hang out with.
Absolutely. Okay, and then we mentioned Sal Monero. Sal had some great stuff on his table. He's making an upsized version of his GMC. The GMC we've talked on the show about a couple times. I have a couple of them. Fortunately, they're beautiful little knives. The ones that I have are a smaller version that he did first, and they're almost like a They're almost like a traditional slip joint in size. They're very small and very, very slim. Some of them have pocket clips, some don't. I actually think I like the one without the clip a little bit better even, just because it carries like a slip joint, but it's actually, in my case, a bolster lock or a frame lock. They're just such a cool size, and they're like little jewels, right? Because Sal stuff is always so super clean. He puts so much attention into the detail on the knives, and that really shows when it gets down to that very, very, very small scale. But he had a couple interesting things. He had a group of these large GMCs that maybe he's just calling it the GMC2. Do you remember, Sean?
No, I didn't catch.
Yeah. I know we joked about calling it the Suburban. It's just kind of a larger scale version. It's not just a direct blow up because the proportions wouldn't work if you just blow it up straight, but they're more of a typical EDC size, somewhere in that 3.5 inch blade size, I think. So he had a very fancy one, a couple in carbon fiber. One that was really neat, it was a carbon fiber handles with liner lock, right? Liners on both sides that were titanium that he had drilled a whole bunch of lightning holes in. That little guy was very, very light for how big it was. And then, he had his Bullseye Pattern machined into the handles, which was really cool because it looks neat. It's a part of his branding, and it gives him a really nice grip. So that was pretty cool to see. He also had a straight razor, which was awesome. We've talked on this show before about his straight razors. This one had Koa handles and I think a 1095 blade. We'll let him talk about it himself. Here's a few comments from Sal about some of the knives he had at the show.
So we're here with Sal Monero, and we're talking about a couple different things. One of them being this show, right? This is the New York Custom Knife Show, but we're doing this year in Nashville for, reasons having to do with the venue and stuff in Jersey. And I was surprised at the crowd. It was quite busy earlier today when doors opened to the folks. Sal, what's your take on the show here so far and kind of having it here in Nashville?
I mean, the vibe of the people and the enthusiasm in the room seemed like it could have been anywhere. Could have been in New York. It could have been anywhere in the country. It seems like, aside from the building, it almost seems the same as New York.
Have you and your wife had a chance to get out and do Nashville things and some of the restaurants and stuff like that?
No, this is actually the first time we've ever been here, and we're looking forward to doing that.
So you're going to do that tonight or tomorrow after things wrap up?
Probably tomorrow, yeah.
So you had some beautiful knives on the table. You had GMC, and you had a straight razor, which I thought is really cool. We've talked about those on the show before, and haven't seen one from you in a while. So what about that knife, and did you do it recently, or where did it come from?
I made that knife a few years back, and I kept it for sentimental reasons until now, and then I guess hearing about it on your show kind of sparked my memory of it, and I thought it'd be good to have it if you were going to be here to see it. So that's why I brought it in.
It's a very cool piece. Was it maple or Koa? It looked like Koa handle.
Yeah, that was a one-piece Koa handle. Yeah.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and it was a blade with Homon. So was it W2 or 01 or what?
It was actually 1095.
95. Okay. Birch's favorite. I know that's his go-to. So you had the GMC, and then you had a number of these big GMCs. I don't know what you're officially calling that, but that's a very cool piece. Talk maybe a little more about that bigger pattern and why you did it and kind of how that all sort of happened.
Well, it's basically a version 2 of the GMC, and I wanted to make a more EDC size, worker size knife from a pattern that people seem to really like, and a lot of people actually asked me to make it a little bit bigger, so that rendition is what I brought here today. Seems like any bigger than that might be awkward for its design, and anything smaller than the original I don't think would handle well either. So something I'm trying to integrate with my panographs as well for a template to replicate a profile in a process.
So you're using the pantograph you're cutting the rough shape on the bandsaw, and then you bring it to the pantograph and do the profile. You actually mill the profile on the pantograph.
Yes, actually I'm cutting the profile on the bandsaw from a template that I make with the pantograph. and then I can put the piece, I'll grind it close to the line so the pantograph doesn't have that much work to do, but it keeps it uniform. And it'll also allow me to locate the holes from one side to the other, so it eliminates the issue of misalignment that you would have if you were doing it the other way I used to do it.
Okay. And this is different than the way you're doing the small original version of the GMC.
Yes, you're correct. I would actually attach the sides to themselves and drill through to get the alignment and follow a line on the grinder right to the point of trying to make it as so-called perfect as humanly possible to get them, consistent within. So the pantograph will allow me to get it more consistent, more repeatable, and it's still handmade. It's manually machined, and every part of it is controlled by me pushing the stylus around the pattern.
So one of the things I talked to Sal about earlier is Sal does this Bullseye Pattern, which is it's really part of your logo, right?
Yeah, that's what started. I used to mill that on my bolsters, on my first liner locks I was making. So I tried to replicate that in this design in a way of almost like a Gucci style pattern, and also have it give it texture, a functional aspect of it.
And so one of the interesting things about it is that Sal's cutting these on a pantograph. So he's getting the profile off one pantograph, and you have a second machine, right? A second pantograph. And there is, to put this Bullseye Pattern in, like you said, sort of this almost Gucci pattern, right? Like an array of these little bullseye logos, but they actually go in 3 dimensions around the handle, which is kind of interesting. So, because if you try to put them in flat, you'd either have to keep the handles flat or you'd grind them away when you start to make the contour on the handle, right? So you came up with a mechanical solution to be able to machine those, almost like 3D machine them, kind of. So I know it's hard to explain. Sal and I were talking about this earlier. It's kind of tricky to explain, but maybe take a shot at how exactly you're using a second pantograph, to do that across a curved surface.
So the unit I have is an attachment that goes on the pantograph, which allows the work to rotate on its axis. It is now attached to the spindle so that wherever I move the stylus on the pattern, it's going to follow it in both directions at the same time. So it keeps it keeps it aligned, symmetrical, non-distorted, and repeatable. That's basically
right. Because if you tried to go in the same vertical axis and cut the bullseye on a surface that had a contour or a downslope to it, or even upslope for that matter, it would not make a circle anymore for the center of the bullseye. It'd make an oval, right?
Yes, correct. It would fade off at the ends. In fact, the way this works is that wherever the cutter is facing, it would be towards the center of this circular fixture that it's being attached to. So it keeps it as if it was done flat and then bent around, if you will. You could visualize that. Maybe it's hard to explain because it's old technology, and there's not a whole lot of resources on it, so it's a lot of trial and error and asking other knife makers who have similar equipment for their advice, and so far it's been working out. It's been a venture.
So these pantographs can do surprisingly complex things, or they can be used in surprisingly complex ways considering the age of the equipment, because these things are old, right? Like 20s, 30s, or World War II era even, or something?
Well, the one machine I have, I think, is from the late 40s, early 50s, and then the newer one would be, I think, early 70s, the mid 70s. So right about the end of when they had their popularity.
Yeah, so like a mechanically complex machine. One time I was at Michael's and we were working on a funny bolster shape, and it made sense to cut it on the pantograph, but it was a lot of experimentation to figure out, one, how to set it up, and two, the key being, or the hardest part being, in that case, there's 2 pieces that had to fit together along a curved surface. And my takeaway was, like you said, the pantograph is not a look up the instructions and read the manual and go. It's more of a find your way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just scratching the surface as to what it can do. I mean, a lot of guys have been using it to inlay shields and slip joints and doing beautiful work with that. And they're even using, I've seen people use CNC machine patterns that they can put right into phase with the machine. So I know I've got a ways to go with its abilities, and I hope it's going to help me stay on the right track and go forward.
No, the knives are beautiful, so you're definitely hitting the mark there. And I don't know, I think the big design is really nice for the GMC. I love the tiny one, just because it feels so much like a traditional slip joint, but has the like a regular real liner lock on it, and it's just such a great package. But the big one's very, very cool too, because like you said, it's more of a typical user size for some of the folks that buy these kinds of knives.
Yeah, I try to listen to how you guys feel about things in general. The community they're not holding back on telling you how they feel about what they like. So I try to accommodate the best I can.
Awesome. Well, thanks for talking with us, Sal, and hope you and your wife, Mary, have a great time in Nashville.
Thank you very much. It's always an honor and a pleasure.
And what a sweet guy, super nice lady, his wife, just very nice people. And so it was great to have a chance to chat with them.
Oh, yeah, always great to catch up with Sal. And man, that Westinghouse one he had, I think that was his bid knife.
Yeah.
Just a stunner. I mean, it caught Rachel's eye. She must have mentioned it to me like 3-4 times at least.
Yeah, beautiful stuff. Michael, have you tried that kind of, do you have one of those tilting fixtures that he's talking about?
No. Mine didn't have the 3D arm on it.
Yeah.
And then the worst part about it is you can't find parts for them. Like mine's a Gorton, and it just, you're not fine. If you don't have it, good luck finding one. But then in his case, I'm sure he found a way to rotate and do it. If I wanted to put that on there, I'd have to have a 3D arm and then have my insignia on a rounded plate to get it how I want it. But he's very smooth when it comes to that type of stuff.
You don't have a 5th axis pantograph?
Right?
No, a lot of those came with 3D arms because they would do like some of those, the first, I guess, prototype, whatever, for some of those like large coins or whatever you want to call them that were fit like with the president's face or whatever it is on some of the national parks, stuff like that.
Yep.
They'd be able to do basically mill out with with that 3D arm over the top of a domed sort of thing. So a lot of them would come with that, but man, mine did not. And hell, I don't know if I'd be able to learn how to do it if it did.
Sounds really cool. I didn't even know they came like that.
Yeah, talking to Sal, it almost sounds like maybe he had the 3D arm, but he didn't have this other piece that tilts the pattern and tilts the tool head and connects those together. Maybe that's all part of the 3D, but when I asked him about it, it sounded like he sort of happened across it. Wasn't sure what it was. Looked like it was something he could use, and asked the guy, "What is that?" and ended up buying an extra piece that he added to his pantograph to be able to do this, and then had to sort of work out the details of how to make it work right. But seeing the way it was laid out on the handle in that extra dimension was really, really slick.
He is a super clever man. He will just occasionally send me a picture of something he figured out that's like, oh shit, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know why we weren't doing it before like
right.
that.
Yeah, very cool stuff. He was a super humble guy too. It was really, really nice to talk to him and awesome to see him in person. So I hope they had a great rest of their weekend. Okay, so what else do we have? We have another clip. This was kind of funny. Amy was talking to Les George. I wish I would have had the mic rolling when she was talking to Les, and he had a funny story, and we kind of came back to it eventually. But here's a clip from Les George. What do we want to describe this as, Sean? Part of like a knife history microsode?
Yeah, that'll work.
So, Les, we've talked a number of times on the show alluding to the fact that allegedly there is some type of rivalry between yourself and one Mr. Michael Birch.
That is patently untrue. It's completely false.
False. You deny this?
I deny this. Rivalries can only exist among equals, so there is no rivalry here, no sir.
You're suggesting that you and Michael are, in fact, unequal.
Unequal, very much unequal.
So can I take a guess at whether you find yourself to be a superior or lesser knife maker than Michael Birch?
You may.
I would assess that you believe you are a superior knife maker to Michael Birch.
Interesting.
Would you care to comment further?
No.
Now, I just along those lines, not to bring up any ugly, dirty past history, but once upon a time there was an online forum known as Custom Knives and Guns, CK&G, and they would do build-offs frequently. And there may have at one point in the timeline been some kind of pairing of you and Mr. Michael Birch when it came to knife making. Would you like to tell us about that scenario?
I think it was the first year they did it, and it was for Michael and I both put in for fixed blades, and then I think Alan Elishewitz randomly paired up people he thought would be entertaining, I guess.
Randomly?
Apparently randomly. That's what he said anyway. Probably not. But, yeah, so I was watching it pretty close, and then he announced who it was. It was me and Michael, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it's going to be fun. So I call Michael immediately. I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry. He's like, what? Huh? It's like noon. He probably just woke up. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm sorry for the ass whipping I'm about to hand you in this build-off. And he's like, oh, we got paired up against each other? I'm like, oh, yeah, you're going to get your butt kicked.
Okay, very interesting. So let's fast forward, because the build-off process is taking pictures, work in process thing, and then when you get to the end, there's some kind of assessment of the knives, right?
Yeah, it didn't mean nothing. It was just like a popularity contest of who took the best pictures or was the best-looking person, which is probably me. But had the most hair. I don't know. I'm not sure who it would have been won then. But yeah, so I think mine nudged him out just barely. So of course I took that as a staggering victory.
Staggering, yeah, okay.
Staggering. I think of like 2 or 3 votes I beat him. So it was obviously staggering.
And you had the opportunity to meet Michael's wife shortly afterward.
Yeah, I think it was the first time we met, and she came up to me and she's like, "That was a nice knife you made, but it was no Birch." And I'm like, "You're right. It was a winner." That was our actual very first interaction with each other. So I know she is all right. I don't know how she got stuck with Michael, but she is all right.
Excellent. Well, one of the things we enjoy on Mark and the Maker is talking about knife history, and that's a very interesting tidbit of knife history.
Sure, let's call it that.
The soft white underbelly.
That's right.
Wow.
Memories.
I don't remember any of that.
You don't remember it?
No, I don't remember any of that.
Wow.
I don't think that happened at all.
Wow. Are you denying that is part of knife history?
No, I believe that is true. I knew something was coming my way when I got a text from him.
Michael was forewarned that the comments made. Do you have any alternate facts you'd like? I think that's what they call them these days. Alternate facts you would like to present?
This is where we get the response.
Yeah, I don't know if I can remember that far back, but yeah, I think he won, and that you don't want Les to win anything. It's you'll hear about it for the next 20 years, obviously.
However long it's been since then, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry, I lost too. I was a loser.
Come on.
Yeah, those were rough.
What's that?
Those build-offs, they were stressful.
Yeah, so for people, we've talked about them a couple times in the show, but for people who aren't familiar with what we're talking about when we say build-off, Michael, you want to explain what it is?
Oh, it was like a old school fun rivalry. Sometimes it'd be a new guy against an old guy, and it was the Custom Knife and Gun Forum.
Yep.
And this was, it's hard to explain. I makes me feel old when I say this, but we didn't have our little phones that would take take a picture and post it. We'd have to get our fancy cameras out and
upload it.
Yeah, upload it. But it was like you also had to have timestamp stuff, like a terrorist holding a piece of newspaper or something. So so you'd have a clock stuck in there next to your photo, so they knew that you started it, at a certain time because you had a time frame, to do it. And you really wanted to show what you can do. So it was like, trying to see if you can do it in the time frame. And man, some late nights, but they were fun. A lot of cool knives were built out of those.
Oh, yeah.
Build-offs, though.
So this is a thing where sometimes there was a theme or you're using a certain material or something, right? And the goal was you had to build a knife in a very short period of time with meeting some kind of requirement.
Were they
right?
72 hours? Was it?
Couldn't
What,
remember.
did we
I know
get
it was
72 hours?
I remember
It seems like.
maybe. It had to be longer than that, right?
I don't know.
What's that?
I don't know. It had to be longer than 72 hours, right?
I don't know, because it felt super rushed when we did it. I know that. And you had to heat treat your
always.
blade and everything, and wow.
I think the ones, so CK&G eventually went away and they moved some of that stuff to USN. I think there were some build-offs on USN. It's other earlier points in the time too, but Alan ran some on USN that I think maybe they lasted a couple of weeks or a week or something. So maybe not quite as tight a time pressure, but it seemed like there was often a theme or a specific thing that you were trying to accomplish in that period of time.
Oh, yeah. It was, pretty even. You had something you had to make at a certain amount of time, and they tried to make it as even as possible. So it was fun. Just,
yeah.
Whew.
Ben actually sent me pictures today of one of the build knives that I didn't have any pictures of. It was kind of crazy, just out of the blue. I just sent them to you guys.
Okay. Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, that's real cool.
Look at you, Tom.
That was some crazy stuff.
I remember that one.
Oh, that thing's awesome.
Looking at it now, I'm super proud of the blade, the handle. Yeah. But it is what it is, right?
It's a cool piece. Yeah, the handle's a little blocky compared to the blade, right? The blade's very cool. I love that. The handle doesn't really match it, but yeah, it's neat.
I can't remember what the deal was with the handle, but it's some kind of, it's all weirdly put together, laminated titanium and stuff. I don't know.
What were you going to say, Sean?
I think it has a general throwback feel to it, and I think the handle works with it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a funny story. Amy had asked him about, very, very innocently, what is this thing you and Michael back and forth all the time? The rivalry thing came up, and then it was like, oh, shit. Okay, so what else do we have, Sean, in our list of things here?
Oh, we talked to Keith.
Oh, yeah, Keith Mclendon. We mentioned Keith a couple of episodes ago. I don't remember which one it was. Maybe it was the Fall Catch-All episode when we were talking about cool things we've seen around the internet. And usually we talk about some kind of crazy-ass weapon or gun or knife or something that sort of fits with our stuff. But Keith is a friend of ours who is involved, I'll describe it as involved in the food industry. He has a poultry interest in the food industry. Is that a safe way to say it, Sean?
Yeah.
Yes.
And so his USN name was Chicken Plucker, and he has an Instagram handle, Plucker, and he'll explain here how to find it. We talked about it in that previous episode, but one of the things that's nice about Nashville is there's some killer food in Nashville. If you go searching around, there's some great places to eat. And so Keith is going to talk about some foodie stuff in a really interesting place. I got to go check out. I'm down that way right now. I got to go down and check it out based on his feedback. So here's Keith Mclendon. So we're at the New York show, and the New York show in Nashville. I got to keep saying that because I got to remind myself where exactly we are, although I drove a zillion hours to get here. We are with Keith Mclendon, who we've talked about before on the show. Keith, can you tell people what your Instagram handle is?
It's Plucker, Pluckr.
So we've talked about Keith's Instagram before because he is he's a foodie to the core, and Keith makes us hungry. His Instagram makes us hungry. So if you want to get hungry, go look at Keith's Instagram. He's always got fantastic food, especially Southern food and barbecue and lots of different stuff. So Keith's here at the show. And Keith, what do you think about the whole doing the New York show here in Nashville?
I think it was a really good idea, particularly since they couldn't find super spots to have it up there because of the COVID restrictions. I think it's been a real good turnout so far.
Yeah, there was a bunch of people that came in early in the show, and it's even still busy now, and it's late in the day on Friday, which is kind of wild. Sometimes it thins out by now, and it has a little bit, but a surprising number of people here. So Keith, I saw some posts last night from you and yesterday about sampling some local food. You have some recommendations for listeners on spots to hit here in Nashville or places you really enjoyed?
Yesterday I was able to go to a burger spot named Joyland. It's owned by Sean Brock from Husk Restaurant fame. He's left them, moved to Nashville, and he's a James Beard Award winner. Also, but this is his first spot that he's opened in Nashville. He's since opened 2 fine dining spots, the Continental and Audrey. But the burger spot was super good. We actually went back this afternoon and had the fried chicken sandwiches. So, but if you get to Nashville, you really should give him a holler. Last night we went to Arnold's Country Kitchen, which Nashville's really famous for meat and threes. And they've started opening at night because of pandemic issues. Had to put a full bar in to make some adjustments. But it's one of the most famous meat and threes in Nashville. Really good. They've been in business about 40 years. So that's the kind of places I like to go to. No chain restaurants and mom and pops if I can. So, yeah.
So, Keith, for people that don't eat like proper Americans, what is a meat and three?
Meat and three is where you go in, you choose your protein. It's usually in the South, it's fried chicken, meatloaf, Salisbury steaks, things like that. And you get 3 vegetables with it and usually a bread. And then there's always a pudding or a pie to go with it. Banana pudding's big in this part. But Nashville is really famous for their meat and threes, along with hot chicken.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the banana pudding thing is, when I first came down this part of the country with my wife, because her family's from down here, that was one of the first things that came out after dinner, at my first dinner with them, was banana pudding, and I was in love again.
Yeah, it's good stuff, and there's not a bad version of it that I've ever had, I don't think.
Yeah, a bunch of different versions, but they're all awesome. Keith, we hope you have a great time in Nashville. Thanks for talking to us.
All right, thank you. Enjoyed it.
Another awesome guy.
Mm-hmm.
Super sweet wife. Well, just great people. Really nice to talk to.
Yeah, agree. He's a really good dude. He's been to the shop here.
Yeah, very cool.
Because we're like chicken headquarters almost of the U.S. with Tyson and several other companies right here.
Yeah, just a super down-to-earth, really nice guy. Yeah, definitely check out his Instagram. He's boy knows how to eat.
Well, man, if he gives you a restaurant recommendation, you should take it serious.
Yes, no joke. It not just comfort food, right? He's always got some. He'll have a ton of roadside mom and pop places, and then some places that are kind of out of the way, but are definitely foodie people, kind of food places as well. So definitely worth checking out the places he recommends. All right, so I don't know that I have a bunch more on my list here to talk about when it comes to the New York show. Sean, do you have any other comments you wanted to make?
No. Let's go ahead and run our clip of Jeremy Horton, because I know that the New York show's Jeremy's favorite show.
Yeah.
And I was really curious to get his take on it being in Nashville and what he was thinking of it.
So we're talking to Jeremy Horton, and Jeremy's done the NYCKS show numbers of times in New Jersey. And Jeremy, what are your thoughts on the difference between New Jersey and Nashville as far as the show's going this time?
Oh, the show's going great. The main thing is I've been getting on a plane, every year for like 8 years. Now I just had a short drive, but it's good. I mean, there's so many people here. Everything's going really well, and everybody seems to be high spirits and getting ready to get back to business as usual.
Yeah, man, that's the vibe we're catching, and it's good to feel. And man, thanks for taking the time for us.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Always.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, really solid summation of the show in general. I liked Sal's description that and Jeremy's as well, that it's had a lot of the same vibe that the New York show did when it was in Jersey as well, and I'm sure it's going to head back there. I hope Steve Delac comes up with a Nashville show that kind of can fit somewhere in the schedule. It's awful crowded these days, but I think the city's great for it, and is kind of built these days to be able to host these kinds of events, and maybe can develop its own special thing. But it had a lot of that NYCKS vibe, even though it was all the way down here in Tennessee. And I think these smaller shows are fun. We've talked about that a lot, right? That the smaller shows always have a cooler, different sort of vibe. I strongly prefer them over huge shows like Blade Show. The big shows are important, but these little shows, they're just very intimate, and you get to actually spend some time talking to folks. It's not nearly as busy. there's not as much to see, which is kind of good and bad. But the good part is you can actually go spend some time talking to people, and I really enjoy that part of it. I know you guys do too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I mean, just phenomenally well put on show.
They generally do a good job.
Yeah, the slower paced shows are really nice.
Yeah. So one of the things that we should do for sure is a high five to Kylie and Cricket and Steve and the whole 50/50 crew. They helped us out with a couple of things with the show itself. We actually had a little technical jam that we got into with recording on the show floor where the batteries on our recorder went dead. Thankfully, they used traditional batteries, and we were able to swap them out, but we didn't have batteries, and Kylie kind of pulled us out of a jam. So high five for your help with that and for being such gracious hosts for us to be there at the show.
Yeah, I mean, man, it was a fantastic show, and you don't get a show that goes off that smooth and everybody has that good a time at if it doesn't start with the show promoter. And man, Steve, Kylie, the whole 50/50 team, they know what they're doing, and they put on a quality show.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Mm-hmm. And they treat the collectors and the makers well, and that comes through, right? I think that's a big piece of why people really enjoy the show. They try to make it smooth. I know they had the stuff all set up before doors on Friday where they had VIP tickets in everyone's hands before doors, and it was kind of an interesting thing because it isn't this particular hotel and venue didn't have the same setup as some others. You know, like outside the Vegas show, there's that big hallway that runs really far down in it. And in the Jersey venue, there's a pretty good lobby area outside the show where people can kind of queue up before doors open. And this one was oddly small outside the main doors, wasn't it, Sean?
Oh, I would go so far as to say it was cramped, especially when people started lining up. And they started lining up early.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so they had gone out and gotten the passes in the folks' hands well outside the door, which was really cool, so that when doors time happened and people were beelining for specific spots in the show to grab stuff, that all happened super smooth. So that was really nice to see. They definitely thought ahead on that one and had it worked out really nice.
Yeah. I mean, just, dude, they've done it before. It ain't their first rodeo, and it showed. It worked really well.
Right.
They're always 100% professional and 100% pleasant to work with.
Yeah.
Great people.
Agree.
Yeah, it's like Steve understands that people come there to see knives.
Yes. All right. I think that wraps it for our New York show comments, and we're going to change gears here. And we're going to, second half of the episode, we're going to talk about holiday picks. I was trying to come up with a catchy name for it, but I didn't come up with anything. You guys got a clever name for the second half of the episode?
How about holiday picks? I think that's pretty catchy.
No blades for bros or anything like that?
No, it's kind of succinct and to the point.
All right. Why don't you explain to people what we're going to do here, Michael? It's a little pretty similar to something we've done in the past, but maybe in a slightly different way.
Yeah, we have done this in the past, and whatever that was, if it was super clever, we'll add a 2 to it, and, it'll be the second clever thing we've done.
There you go. We'll do the movie follow-up kind of approach.
Holiday Picks 2, Holiday Boogaloo.
Yeah. We've kind of done a, gifts to get friends or, theoretical gifts. Some picks for fathers, friends, whatnot. We've done it in the past. I don't know if we've done it once or twice, but we've kind of always had a monetary limit on it, hit this certain amount or this whatever. And this time we kind of changed it up to make it into 3 different versions. One, you would give like a work acquaintance that may not really know that much about knives. Another knife that is to a friend that may know some about knives, a good friend, and then a really good pick for like that best friend that you know really well. And of course, we're going to sprinkle in some light dusting of, stocking stuffers because we can.
Nice. So stocking stuffers could be non-knife things, but cool things nonetheless.
Yeah, anything.
I like it. This feels like some kind of friend test thing. It's like one of those girlfriend test things or something. I don't know, something weird like how much money are we going to spend? But sky's the limit, I think, on the upper category because I went deep.
I didn't go very deep. I just went more, I guess we'll get into that, won't we?
Yeah.
I'm going to win if we're going by price point.
Uh-oh.
Like lowest or highest?
Highest.
No.
Because I really love my best friends.
Yes.
See, I usually do. I usually shoot for into the fantasy realm, but I try to keep it like, where would I actually go with this stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was playing with my money instead of your money, so.
This is that friend test thing I was referring to. We'll see.
Yep.
It sounds like Sean and I are gonna be far better friends than y'all.
I don't know. I didn't pick lame stuff. But yeah, probably.
We'll see if Tom could stay within the guardrails. That's been a challenge in the past. I think we've all had our moments there, though.
Yeah, I was going to say, why are you singling me out?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay. So the people, people seem, we've done a bunch of these different versions of these picks episodes, but people seem to really enjoy them. We get lots of feedback about them, and we get, they seem really heavily downloaded. I don't know. It's kind of interesting to see. So they're fun.
They're fun.
Yeah, it gives us a chance to go look at stuff that sometimes we wouldn't spend a ton of time looking at. And yeah, hopefully they're fun to listen to. We'll see. It could be the harassment angle that makes them fun. That could be a factor. Okay. First category, Michael. What are we calling that again?
We're saying like maybe your non-knife work acquaintance.
All right.
You know, someone who may not know that much about knives, but maybe you got them in a Secret Santa, and let's say you're in a work environment where, you know, knives are okay to give to a buddy or acquaintance.
Should we talk about what we're not allowing?
Oh, good call.
Oh yeah. I know that some of you will be like, well, how come you didn't include Swiss Army knives? Because we say Swiss Army knives every single time.
Yeah.
We tried not to repeat some of the obvious pick, because we know, you know, Super Tanker is a perfect gift.
Yeah, or
but,
the Hercules. But yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're just trying not to be repetitive. So there's some obvious ones we tried to kind of go away from, just because we've talked about them a lot in the past. So new stuff.
My hardest thing was staying away from Spydercos.
Same.
It seems like I've got a fucking thing for them, even if I never admitted it before.
Yep.
I carry one every day.
Yeah. How can you not have a thing for them? Yeah.
So yeah, we're not trying to not talk about these things, but at the same time, we are trying to not talk. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Makes perfect
Sean,
sense.
what do you carry every day? Which Spyderco?
All right. If I've got my shop clothes on, I've got a Para 2 in 52-100.
Ooh.
And then if I've got my going to town clothes on, it's a waved Endura.
Oh,
nice. I carry a Dodo if I've got my shop clothes on. Jade and M4. I love that knife for opening boxes and packages. And then if I got my fancy clothes on, which are the same clothes, just clean.
Let's be real.
I've got a Yojimbo. I like that knife a lot.
Yeah, nice.
And did Janik design that?
I think so. And I think Snowdy made some, and then Spyderco did it. I think those two were involved in the design.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not sure. It's just his name pings whenever I hear that knife.
Yeah, for sure. I think he was instrumental, and I think Snowdy was also, but yeah. So who gets to go first?
I was going to mention my Spyderco that gets carried the most often is that little lum that you reground, Tom, with like a laminate blade. That's what I imagine, jade green handles.
I love the lum. Yeah. The standard Spyderco lum is a beautiful knife.
Yep.
Yes.
I'm guessing Michael carries a Danger Pickle or something.
Sometimes.
Do you carry a Spyderco regularly?
Just not curious. All the time.
Okay.
I have some, but I don't carry them all the time.
He's been carrying a Secant.
Usually have like,
He's been carrying a Secant quite a bit, I think.
Yeah, the Secant's hard to kick out of the pocket.
That's true.
McGinnis, one of his, gets in there quite a bit.
Yeah.
Very cool.
All right, where you were going to get us into it, Tom, and you were getting us started?
Yeah, I was just going to say who's going to go first. Let's get this started.
All right, Sean Dog, you want to take a swing at the first one, Knife Buddy, or not work buddy, just casual acquaintance.
All right, so if it's somebody that I've just kind of got to buy a gift for and they're an acquaintance, and maybe I don't know them that well, or maybe I just don't get along with them that well, but I still want to get them something decent, I'm going to get them a CRKT Burnley tuna.
Nice.
Oh, that's
nice. Yeah, you can get those for like, I think $45 I found them for. And man, it's just a really nice package. It's got good lines. It's not scary looking. It's functional looking. It's, it's just a really nice pocket knife.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah, that's a solid choice.
You said it's a CRKT, Sean? That sounds right. Yeah.
Yep. And then if it's like a work acquaintance that I actually get along with on a personal level, and maybe you think you could steer them toward knives a little bit, spend a little more and get them the Boker Stubby Quacken. That's a really cool little knife.
That's a super
those are
knife.
cool.
Yeah, get them the one with the bolster and the marbled carbon fiber. Shit, if they ain't sold on that, you ain't going to get them sold.
Yeah, they work so nice.
Yeah. Super iconic shape. One of those elegance in simplicity things. Lucas really hit the mark with that whole design. We've talked about that knife a few times in the past, and it's something that people really gravitate to, right? It's something about that simple, beautiful shape that really grabs people's attention, and that little stubby one is super cool.
Yeah, and a lot of different options on it as far as, the look you want to go for.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Tom, you want to go next?
Yeah, sure. So, for a casual acquaintance, I don't know how into knives they are. So my first thought was to go traditional slip joint because it's, that they don't have to figure out how to open or close it or anything. It's pretty intuitive. And so I did some searching around, and on if you go to GP Knives, Boker has a knife. It's a Boker Plus Celos. I think that's how you say it. I don't know. But it's a little slip joint. It's got a pocket clip. It's 440C, and it's peel ply textured jade, and it's kind of a modern take on a slip joint. And I personally think it's a really good looking knife, and it's only like $40, so it's like $42. So yeah, that's a win. Yeah. It's also not real big, so it's not scary for someone that's not super into knives.
How's the name of that one spelled? I'm trying to find it, but
I sent a link in our group. It's CELOS.
Yeah, it's got like a sodbuster kind of feel to it.
Yeah, except a little more refined. It doesn't have quite as much belly as a sodbuster, and just modern construction and materials.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's pretty cool, man. I was not aware of that knife.
I dig it.
Yeah, it's a good looking knife.
Yeah, I'm looking at the
I wasn't either. I went,
scale
like I said,
man, there's a lot of Boker Plus stuff.
Yeah. I think our listenership enjoys these, but I actually have a good time with these because it gives me an excuse to go, troll through new stuff and stuff that I wouldn't normally have time to see.
Yeah, it's got a little deep clip on it. It's almost, do you know who designed this?
It doesn't say.
Yeah, it doesn't say. That's interesting.
So that's an in-house design, I think.
I was going to say it reminds me of Venanzo.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know what I mean? It's got some similarities in some ways. It's
very clean.
Yeah. Super clean.
It's got that long fuller instead of a nail pull, and it's on bronze washers. Seems to be built like primo. So yeah.
Oh man, the in-hand picture I'm looking at, the size on it looks perfect.
Yeah, not too big, just nice little utilitarian. Kind of reminds me of the old Buck stainless ones that they used to make a little bit.
Yeah,
remember the slim, like the Gerber Pocket Knights, or I don't know what those Bucks were called.
Man, I've got one of the Bucks. My mom gave me one that was engraved when I graduated high school.
Hell yeah. Little gentleman's knives.
Yeah. And the one I got was ground thin, like thin, not production knife thin. It was a really nice cutting little knife.
Yeah. Those had a really deep hollow grind.
Good pick, Tom. I think that's, this is an interesting time to note.
we didn't do, usually we do some kind of check ahead of time, or at least in many cases we've done a check ahead of time to make sure that we're not going to pick the same knife. And we don't often, occasionally we'll bump into one another when we're making picks, but we didn't screen any of these, so it's possible we may have a steal in the mix, but we'll see.
Yeah. I got a couple backups just in case. So.
Oh, I know
we were playing pretty free and loose.
Yeah. No, that's a nice choice, though. That's not a knife I was familiar with. That's a good-looking knife. I like it. I'd carry one.
Yeah, glad to have that one on the radar.
All right. Michael, you want to throw your casual acquaintance pick out there?
Yeah, I did kind of the same as these guys as far as like I hit Blade HQ and Knife Center, and I just scrolled and kept scrolling, and I saw a lot of knives I'd never seen before. And some of the stuff gets pretty funky. And I was thinking if it was going to be someone that like isn't around knives much and doesn't know them, I want them to have like a classic, I want them to have a liner lock or frame lock. So I picked a Kershaw Syncovich Atmos liner lock. One, it's $32, on Blade HQ. It's not an aggressive knife, but it's got a really cool design to it. I like the lines. I think they would learn that kind of, that a knife can not just be a utility tool. It can be like something that it's cool to look at. Plus, then they start learning how to use like a liner lock and a frame lock, I thought about doing some of the funkier stuff or a slip joint or whatever, but I was like, let's get them into it. Kind of groom them to be a knife nerd.
I like it.
I do too.
So I landed on this guy.
Syncovich design language is very specific, right? You can recognize it when you see it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, they'll look at that and maybe they'll start seeing it as more than just a tool, and maybe they'll start seeing some of those lines. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good looking knife.
Trying to teach your buddy something cool, or your work guy.
Yeah. So I get the impression from the description and looking at it that this is a maybe like an aluminum handle with an inset. Yeah, stainless inset lock. Yep. And it would make sense at that price point. That's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's same with you guys. I saw a bunch of Boker Plus and a bunch of just like, I wasn't aware that this much stuff was out there.
Yeah. No, that's a good looking knife. Yeah, I like that. It's got a very reasonable size flipper tab too.
Mm-hmm.
Not like one that, is sticking a mile out into your pocket. Some of the flippers have such a giant flipper tab that they're kind of a mess, but yeah, that's a good looking knife. I like that.
2004 flipper tabs.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. No, good pick. I like it. I like Tom, I kind of went at this thing like, slip joint was the first place my mind went, right? Oh, definitely slip joint. And I'm like, no, there's got to be something else that would be cool that's not slip joint. I kind of ended up somewhere a little bit like Tom's pick, where it's more of like a traditional style-ish thing, but not a slip joint. So I just sent you guys the link. This is on Knife Center.
Oh, cool.
A little CRKT, Columbia River, Ken Onion Swindle. Ken's designs are always really, really cool. Yes. This is another one that I actually wasn't familiar with until I went looking. And it's got a very Swayback kind of vibe, which I love Swayback, so that makes sense. But it has a couple of funky things going on. It's got a clip that doesn't protrude from the side. It reminds me a little bit. It's kind of a twist, or in the same category as John Graham's tail clip. Tailhook clip that he uses. Yep. Yeah, but this one looks like it's spring-loaded, and it's got a little knurled pin that lets you grab it and open it to be able to hook it into your pocket. But it's a flipper, and it's got matte stainless handles, but 3.2-inch blade. Just a great-looking little knife. Super, super, super clean, like all Ken's stuff is. But yeah, I really like this, and even the lock cut fits the shape really well. This is a really good design, I think. I really like this knife.
Mm-hmm.
And that baby's slim.
Price point's not bad either.
Almost got picked.
Oh, you almost picked it, Michael?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, for $30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to be realistic.
And I like how it keeps that swayback pattern flavor, but still has a modern feel to it. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a neat blend, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'd carry one.
Yeah.
That's usually my
Carry
test.
2.
Is this something I would carry myself? And yeah, okay, I would carry that. That's a cool little knife, and so sure, I wouldn't feel bad about giving that to somebody. And it's in that it's got enough cool guy going on that I think a fellow engineer dork would like it, and I like that it's super slim. Looks like it would hide away really nice in your pocket.
Way thin.
Yeah.
Just disappear.
All right, so that was my casual acquaintance pick. I think that's it. Did you guys have backups that we want to mention on this one before we move on to the mid-range pick? I'm going to take that as a no.
No.
Okay.
I read both of mine.
I think we probably all do. We've done enough of these that I think we are pretty good at that. Okay.
You know me, I'm a rule follower.
Right. Right. That's exactly what I was thinking when we were getting this episode together, Tom. Well,
I know.
Tom is a rule follower. He's going to be
sure.
great at this.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's mix up the order. So, Tom, you want to go first on the. So this is your good friend. This is somebody that you like, right, Michael? Give me the context to this.
You know, he's a friend. He's a friend, but he's not like a best friend. So you gotta, you want to give him a knife. He maybe already knows a little bit about knives, but the tier's up a little bit. It's not just that some guy $30 throwing it away. You're gonna put a little more money into it. Maybe get him something a little nicer, a little more, aimed towards him or her. That's what you got, Tom.
All right. So I figured this is somebody that, knows about knives, good friend, really solid guy. I went with a giant mouse, the Ace Riv green canvas micarta stonewashed L-Max flipper. It's $195.
Shit. I'm glad I had backups.
So we got 2.
I went with the Ace Biblio.
Well, I mean, I actually almost went with that, and then I was like, I actually like the smaller size of this one. But yeah, I mean, right, Sean? You can't go wrong. This seems like a great price point for a really nice quality piece and a good steel. I've handled quite a few of them, and I really like them.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Preaching to the choir.
So, yeah.
I mean, the size is right, super aesthetically pleasing, and I mean, the handles just look, ergonomically proper.
Yeah, you can tell Jesper and Jens put in their work on these. I like how they're finished. I like the ergonomics, and they work great, and I'm just like, yeah, why not?
So, Tom, you picked the Riv, right?
Yeah.
Which is sort of a stubby guy, right? Is it?
It's like a smaller, almost Warncliffe spear type blade.
That's a good description. It's got a really, really gentle, small amount of belly to the blade.
Yeah. Which I love that blade shape too. So
yeah,
I sent a link in the group. I'm a fan of the giant mouse knives. I've got some, and they're good. And I consider all 3 of the people running the company good friends and solid people.
Nice. Okay. The Riv, R-I-V for the kids at home.
Yeah. Sorry for taking yours, Sean.
No problem. I got backups.
All right. Me too. But yeah.
Sean, your backup, your alternate to that was the Biblio. I like the Biblio a lot.
Yeah, I do. Man, just the package works for me. Love the handle shape.
Slightly bigger. Great knife also.
Yeah.
I don't see any, but the brown canvas ones they have are smoking hot.
Yeah.
Green's not bad, but yeah.
Yeah, normally I'm a green guy. So.
Green micarta is always good.
Yeah.
Have you seen the natural they do, the natural brown? Yeah, I agree. Green's always good, but their natural's really nice. I'll send you a link for another knife. That's their brown.
Okay. Good pick, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
This feels like a follow-on ad for Anzo.
and it was totally unintentional. I just was flipping through knives, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's nice.
That is cool.
And I hadn't mentioned it before.
Oddly enough, that's why I didn't go with the giant mouse.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, we just talked about him. They're going to think I just did that because of that.
Well, I was going to do a Microtech, but I think I've said that before multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, the no retread thing is a hard guardrail to follow.
Right, because it's hard to remember.
Yeah, that's a fair point. That's a fair point. All right, Michael, so you almost went there, but you didn't. What did you pick for this mid category?
This actually came to me through the Smoky Mountain Knife Works catalog.
Oh.
As I was flipping through the pages.
Smoky Mountain is like, yeah, it's like straight throwback feel. I like it.
Yeah, so I was flipping through the pages and I was like, ooh, kind of like, you get them back in the day. And if you're a friend of mine, you probably are, like the Rinaldi designs, the old school Rinaldi designs. And I came across this Tops Dart, which is a 7.5 inch 5160 carbon steel blade with some good, it's got that Rinaldi blade shape. It'd be a fun camp knife.
Oh yeah, I like that. Trace always made really good big knives.
And it's like $166. I can see,
Classy.
a good friend putting that money towards them.
I like it.
Yeah, for sure. And I really like that.
Yeah, man, I was always a fan of Trace's stuff, and that's his recurve all day.
Yep.
Yeah. They also make an Armageddon.
Tops actually makes some pretty cool stuff.
I've actually owned a couple.
I've got some.
Fun knives. Like,
yeah.
Fun to use, and just kind of that, I don't know. I like them.
They're solid. Their smaller knives are actually really well too. The bushcraft stuff is actually, their big knives I always think as being a little overbuilt, but I get it. That's what they are. But the smaller knives, the ones I've gotten lately, are really thin and slicey.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tops is cool.
Yeah, that was really the only complaint I usually ever had with Top stuff is how thick they left their edges.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because, they were really hedging their bets toward hard use.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, yeah. If you market yourself that way for real, then you got to expect someone is going to baton some firewood with that shit, right?
Or cinder blocks or what have you.
Or cinder blocks. Yeah, whatever. whatever floats your boat.
But they always struck me as kind of like that bussy and all that type of cool shit we, grow up looking at and seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice pick, Michael. I like it.
Well, thank you.
Okay. So I went slightly deeper on my mid-range pick because I've given away a bunch of hinderers and all kinds of stuff. So this felt like a knife that is not out of range on what of knives I've given to a friend before. So I'm sending the link. I don't know if Enrique had these at the New York show or not. I think this was a fairly recent release.
Oh, wow.
Enrique Pena does this X series of knives. So he's got a bunch of OEM'd production knife projects that he's done. God, it seems like he's done tons of these. I think when I looked at the website, there must have been 12 of these so far. Runs of different designs and different variations on designs. I'm sure he's done reruns of some of the designs before. This one is called the Apache. So it's kind of almost like a traditional knife pattern, which has been pretty much his MO, right? He's done a few other tactical shaped knives, but he's a traditional maker. At least I think originally that's the way I first came to know of him, was as a traditional maker. And so this is in that traditional knife style, but with a bit more beef to it. And this one has a Lee Williams kickstop.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. So they actually, a bunch of places I looked at didn't have these. Knife Center actually appears to have them. You can order one from them. So $300, M390 blade with the kickstop, marble titanium handles with tie bolsters for $300 with a kickstop. I don't know, man. Okay, it's expensive for a mid-tier knife, but that's a lot of knife for $300.
See, you need to get out of my head because this was also another one I was going to pick. Except
Really?
You're a better friend than me because it was going to be on the next level.
That's funny.
That is funny.
Yeah, well, Yeah, I see.
I'm a cheap ass, I think.
This time, you've been not a cheap ass before, so we've been all of us have been all over the map on some of these in the past. Yeah, but this is a great knife. I would carry one in a heartbeat. Enrique's a good guy.
That's an excellent pick.
Yeah.
Very cool piece.
Yep, I liked it. And that kickstop mechanism. How could you not think that's cool? That's a genius.
Enrique's production knives are really good.
Yeah.
Ben has had, I think, every single one, and they're really well done.
Yeah, he's done a good job of putting out consistent, drops of them. And I think he even has like an X series like Facebook group, doesn't he?
I think you're right. Yeah, there's a big following for his this whole series of his work.
That's the way to do it.
Yep. All right, so that was my mid-tier pick. So Sean, I think you're up last here to wrap us up on this whole mid-tier of bro knives.
To shuck and jive on this, since I'm not going to go with the giant mouse. Bark River makes a MacV Sog Bowie in 3V.
Ooh.
And, man,
yeah.
the Sog Bowie 3V, that's like fucking peanut butter and chocolate.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Just goes together. And if you got a knife buddy, he is going to appreciate that knife.
Oh, for sure. Yep, I would be thrilled to get one of those.
Yeah, I'll be waiting for it.
Birch is at the mailbox right now.
And then as an aside, and this is a little on the cheaper end, and I think that this is a really good deal on a knife, is the Bastinelli, dude, I'm probably going to pronounce this all wrong, the Picoeur.
Oh, yeah.
It's Picoeur. And man, it's just basically like a little ringed scalpel. And I've had a chance to play with a few of them, and they are just fucking nasty business.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've got the one you're talking about. I'm trying to get on their website now. The last couple shows I've picked up a Bastinelli, and they are cool.
Yeah, really cool designs. They seem really well done. There's lots to like.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the one, I think they call it a spade. It's like a ring knife also.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got that knife, Sean. It is wicked cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a great little just get the fuck off me knife.
Yeah, super lightweight. You can neck carry it easy or stash it in a boot or inside the waistband, pocket, wherever.
Oh, and dude, yeah, the spade, I've played with it too. Super cool knife. I just got it up on Knife Center.
Great people too at the Texas show. His daughter was wearing an AC/DC shirt, and I mentioned it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's her religion." I'm like, I mean, AC/DC's good.
No.
She's young. She'll
Right. Yeah, this Bastinelli stuff's really nice. This one, how are they doing that? It almost looks like it's forged that way or investment cast or something. Is it machined and then it's just tumbled a whole bunch?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. But they do have that investment cast type feel with the little part in the middle that's smashed down looking.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Huh.
Yeah. But it's like it's really clean, and it looks like it's got at least a 3/16 whatever.
Right.
Sometimes you look at those, you can tell when they're going to machine it, they're doing something to save time.
Yeah.
So it looks like they pocket it.
Yeah. Good choice on the fly, Sean. Well done.
My pleasure. It deserves mentioning. They're wicked cool pieces.
Yeah. I like it.
Seems like there's so much cool stuff, it's like hard to keep track of it anymore.
I don't really until I do these, and then I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah, and then I feel totally overwhelmed and unprepared.
Right.
Yeah, I had a backup for this one, but I thought it's a Spyderco, so I didn't want to. I went back and forth about it, talking about it. And then I couldn't remember if we talked about it before. We talked about the Marcin Slice Swayback.
Yeah, I think you've mentioned that one before as a pick, or somebody in our group did.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if we did or not, or if I just looked at it and sent it to somebody and said, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Another knife that is very thin behind the edge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Those knives, somebody sent one to me for a regrind, and I was like, this doesn't need it. I just sent it back. Like,
Still charged him.
No, I even paid shipping, I think.
Tom just stamped the logo and sent it back.
I was like, there's no need.
Right. You'd be turned into a razor blade, literal razor blade.
They're about there already. They're thin.
Yeah. No, in
a good way.
Like Michael said, we're not picking Spyderco because we don't like Spydercos. We love Spydercos, but we picked them in every episode that we've done picks on before. So
yeah, the argument could be made we love them too much.
Yeah. That's right. The love is too strong.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome picks. So we're in the money zone. I don't even know we didn't put price ranges on any of these. That was kind of the interesting thing. That's why I joked about friend test earlier. This is where Sean and I's love is going to be clear for our friends. So, Michael, you want to go first on this one?
I don't know if I want to anymore.
Right? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Am I making you want to upgrade your pick?
No, I think this is a solid pick. And once again, I don't know if we've maybe talked about it before, but if I'm getting a good friend something, they're probably going to enjoy RMJ stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So the Mini Jenny hammer pole.
Mm.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. I don't have one yet.
Yeah, but it's such... I don't even know if I need to send you guys a link, because I'm sure you probably know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
But
I can't wait. When did you mail it?
But it's in that under $500 stuff, which is a lot of money for, a knife that's not your own.
Yeah.
But, if it's your best friend or whatever, I could see that, He's after a fun little camp axe or whatever. And yeah, man, I can see myself doing that. But man, it's such a compact little axe, and it looks so fun.
And you know the story behind it, right? So basically, from what I think what Ryan told me was the guy that contacted him for this basically wanted something that he could fight inside of a phone booth with. Like that kind of close quarters. And that's why it's sharpened, like the top sharpened. Mm-hmm. It's sharpened all the way around that thing.
Yeah.
And they're really mean in a cool way. I mean, they're tiny.
I mean, let's be honest. I'm giving something I want myself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's how you do it, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
If you're picking for a tight friend, yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a good pick.
Yeah. Very, very nice. I like it.
So sorry I didn't spend, thousands upon thousands on you guys.
Hey, it's the thought that counts.
Yeah, but didn't you package it in like a new C8?
Yeah.
Tom, you're going to spoil my picks.
Sorry.
Tom's going to be waiting at the mailbox. We heard it already. Bring your snacks with you, buddy. That's all I'm saying.
Because it's going to be a while.
It could be a while. Maybe a nice jacket.
Oh, damn it.
All right. Who wants to go next? Who wants to do the next Bestie BFF pick?
I probably should go now since you guys are going to make us all feel bad.
There you go. Before we start swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'm a big fan of Bearing Made. Love their work.
Yeah.
Yes.
And if you go on their website, bearingmade.com, there's a build your own. And I really like the little trout knife. So I'm going to build one of those little trout knives and with the convex grind, it's a nice satin, throw some leather and crotch stag on there for someone and maybe brass guard. I think that would be a pretty sweet little gift.
Nice.
It's actually called the pintail now, I think. It used to be called the Burton trout. But
okay.
Yeah. There is a link right there. So yeah, I like their knives. I really like what they're about. Second generation knife maker. They're in Montana. They know what makes a good knife, and their story's pretty cool too. They're like doing some production forging, which I think is pretty cool. Skagel-esque production forging.
I think you mentioned this before, right? The build your own thing at Bearing, and they're surprisingly reasonably priced considering that you're speccing everything.
Yeah. Probably did. I like them. It's so hard to remember what I have or haven't mentioned. So you're saying I should mention my other one? No, just kidding.
What is the big C on the blade mean?
Let's see.
Yeah, I wonder. Does that mean it's the convex version or something? Or that it's carbon?
I don't know. None of mine have that. Maybe it's carbon. I don't know.
Maybe it's a super custom version and that's Charles's knife or something.
Yeah, well, no, because it looks like it's on most of them. I'm going to guess it's carbon steel. I don't know.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
It's a really big C.
It is a big C. That's what made me wonder.
Yeah, I don't have it on my knives. I don't.
Huh.
And they're carbon, so I don't know.
Tom's just has a giant T, like Laverne from Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, they've got a lot of cool stuff.
Nice. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that'd be a lovely gift. I'd be thrilled to receive a build-your-own pintail.
Yeah. All right, throw down.
Tom, or Sean, you want to go or you want me to go?
Let's see. Let me get my link here.
I don't know. You're swinging hard, so
Yeah, I'll go. I just wanted to get the link queued up so the guys can see it. Actually, I chose for my best buddy, Mark Steiner, because Mark gave me a knife over the weekend, and I appreciate the hell out of it, and I'm happy to have him as a friend. And if I could, I would get him this Moro Desmo Blue Arrow.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. That thing's gorgeous.
Yeah, I'll let you guys drink that in for a second.
He's Egyptian.
This was one that he took to the...
AKI, yeah.
Yeah. Man, those were mind-blowing. That whole set he took was just like each one was better than the next one.
Yeah. Is this the Desmo that you sent me, Sean, or this was a different version of that same pattern or something?
I think it's the same one.
Is it? Okay. I remember you sent this to me a little while ago, and I was like, oh, shit. Yeah,
wow.
That's stunning.
Were I a man of means, it wouldn't just be a picture I'd be sending.
I appreciate that, man. No, that's gorgeous. All the Moro stuff is absolutely outrageously cool, right? I mean, top-level art maker, tons of killer stuff, lots of space influence things, sci-fi,
car,
watch stuff, car stuff, yeah.
Yeah, pretty out-of-this-world stuff, for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, and if you go on Moro Knives, MORO Knives, KNIVES.com, just so much killer stuff on there, right? Tourbillon watch themed knives, you name it. Just fantastic work. No, that's a gorgeous, Sean. That's a beautiful, beautiful pick. And it's called Desmo. How could you miss, right?
Yeah, that was
there?
awful nice of you.
Very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, man, I mean, I just wanted to mention the knife, and this was a really good excuse. And
yeah, gorgeous. Awesome, Sean. I love it.
I thought you would.
Moro Knives. Where did we... Wasn't Moro at the New York show that you were at, Michael? Or am I thinking of a different show? Maybe that was one of the East Coast shows.
I'm pretty sure he had a Star Trek type of knife at that one.
Okay.
But the first one we handled was a couple years before that. Now it's a tourbillon, kind of offset pivot glass.
Yeah.
And it was like, fuck.
Didn't Steve have it, or one of the dealers had it, right?
Steve or Strauss, one of those two had it.
Yeah. Yeah, it might have been Strauss, you're right. Oof, such killer pieces, right? And just like some of the other stuff we've talked about, like we saw at the Arts and Metal show and in the tourbillon that Michael mentioned, gorgeous in pictures, and then when you see it in person, it's like, oh my God. It's next level gorgeous in hand, and the details just completely come alive. There's something that pictures just can't convey, and there are always fabulous pictures of these knives, but they're just outrageous in person.
Mm-hmm. We can stare at them and not... There's very few knives that I can look at and not find a flaw. And that's just part of being a knife maker or whatever, but some of those guys where you can keep staring and never find anything is mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Not the tiniest of scratch out of place. And that's what I mean by a flaw. I mean like any sort of weird, hand rub finish, whatever.
Design is flawless too.
Yeah, just nothing out of place. Like actual perfection. It's crazy.
I showed some watch friends, I sent them pictures of an Esposito
It's actually the Esposito. That is my pick next. Let me put it in this context. You good, Sean, or did you have a backup pick that you want to talk about? It's a kind of a hard one to back up.
Yeah.
Nah, no use for one on that.
Right. Why do I need one?
Yes. Okay, so when we've done these picks episodes before, Tom has on several occasions gone full Oprah, where it's like, you get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car. So I made a bestie BFF pick for each of you. So Michael will be thrilled with his pick.
Yes.
This is the most baller. If someone said to you, Mark, if you could imagine the most baller ass crazy thing that a watch, okay, it tells time, knife, it can cut. This object has a purpose as well, but it's like, it is badass in so many ways that it doesn't need to be, but it's beautiful that it is. And this, this is an Emmanuel Esposito money clip. He's, I think, made a few of these. There are some pictures earlier in his Instagrams of other money clips he's made. This thing just was posted the other day, and I thought it was absolutely outrageous. And I had sent a picture of this to some watch friends saying, hey, you know, you're asking questions about knives and what's cool in knives and what do I think is like top tier kind of stuff. Like if people wanted to go look at something, and this isn't even a knife, it's a money clip, but
yeah,
you know, like timed screws, you know, perfectly timed screws, all this crazy inlay work. I think the way this thing works, he doesn't show it in the photos, but in some other ones he does. I think those little ramps at the bottom, I think you push those and they release kind of like those butterfly wings where the inlays are, and they cam up and open the money clip. You use them to, you kind of squeeze them to open the money clips. Does that sound right, Michael?
Yeah, that's exactly how they work. Then it's almost like an alligator clip from there.
Yeah.
But
so they flip backwards and then you use them to.
Exactly.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Yeah.
So that's for me?
Yes.
Wow. My money clip to money ratio would be way off.
Well, the cool thing is those will hold just one bill also.
Yes.
It's good to know. Make sure that tension's good and tight on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's exactly what I'm talking about when I say you can't find a flaw. Like, look at the inlays on that, and I know people have to come back and look at it. Even the inlays are indexed perfectly to each other.
Yeah, it's totally crazy.
It's wild.
I'll post a picture of this in our Facebook group and probably link to it on our Instagram as well, because I think this is just fascinating to look at.
Yeah, I showed this to Ben, I don't know, maybe a few months ago, and he was just blown away.
Yeah.
The cigar cutters are pretty wicked cool, too.
Yes. Yeah, this is completely in the pocket jewelry category in the coolest possible way. And just, ridiculous inlay work, all kinds of nutty stuff. People have to see this, and I would love to see one of these in person. I don't know that, I don't think I've ever seen one of these in hand before. Have you ever handled one, Michael? Oh, you have?
Yeah. No, it's fucking cool as you'd think it would be.
Yeah. Oof. So badass. Oh yeah, Tom, you sent a link. This is another one. This one shows it opening.
Yeah, that shows it actually working.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's so cool. Yeah, you'd have trouble putting a shagged out filthy 20 in there, Michael. Yeah, it might not be suitable. Okay, so that was my ultra bro pick for Michael.
Nice.
Don't stand by the mailbox.
Very nice.
Okay, so then I picked one for Sean. And Sean Dog is on a Dagger. I'm not sure if it's fair to call it a Dagger kick. Would it be, Sean, to call it? But Sean's had a fascination with daggers, maybe especially in more recent history. I don't know.
Yeah, especially more recently.
Yeah. This is from Niels Vandenberg, who has an Instagram, Black Dragon Forge. And we've talked about Niels before, right? I don't remember which episode, but we've talked about his Instagram before. Just fantastic work, always exploring kind of the edges of things. This is a stiletto, and he's done a few of these maybe over the last year, maybe probably before that even as well, if you scroll back, but just a sick piece, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know what to say about this stiletto. It's his own Damascus. It's so cool that all of the grinding and machining work and file work just completely highlights the Damascus pattern. There's a bunch of aged bronze pieces that make up the handle. If you look through his Instagram in that time frame from when that photo is taken of that stiletto and some others, there are some great pictures of like in tight details on those fullers in the stiletto blade that I think it would just be a gorgeous piece to look at in person, right? To see some of the detail that's down in there. Just beautiful. And a lot of work in process pictures showing how these come together, and a really fascinating array of work, right? Everything from kitchen knives to hunting knives to pieces like this to big knives to, a very broad range of work. And I think he's a fascinating maker to watch, and always lots of detail about his steps through the process to create some of these really gorgeous pieces of work.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
100% agree.
Yeah.
I followed him for a while.
Oh, there's a video of that dude too.
Is there? Okay.
Yeah. Here, let me snag it, because he gets down in those fullers a little bit.
They're deep.
Yes, very.
I thought they were pierced when I first saw it. Or is that a different knife?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, they look like they could be pierced. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is a really nice zoomed in view. Yeah, those things are deep, man. They're practically pierced, right? I don't know what the wall thickness is that's left, but it's not a lot.
I know. That was a different one.
Yeah.
Get poked with that motherfucker. Good luck getting it stitched up.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like I could see that being shoved through like an eyepiece on a suit of mail.
Ooh.
Yeah.
The slot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Ooh.
Shoot, or even the rings, the way that thing tapers.
Oh, yeah, straight through.
Split a ring and go right through the mail.
Find a scene.
Yeah. No, I thought it was gorgeous. And I know Sean's on a Dagger kick, so there you go. Some really cool stuff from Niels Vandenberg.
That'd look good to hit on my plate carrier.
That would be so awesome.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. South African maker making some killer stuff. So yeah, that was my Sean Kendrick pick.
Well, thank you. You're too kind, and you know me too well.
I knew you'd like that. All right, and then the last one. Go ahead. Is he the one?
I was gonna say, was he the one that someone was using their laser real slick like? Yeah, he is the one. He was using his laser to lay out his quillion stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is that how he was doing it? Was with a laser?
Yep. On that October 13th one, it shows his handle. He used a laser, so you're not just like trying to, grind a little line that you sketch on.
Oh.
I thought that was super slick.
I saw that picture. I probably should have read it. I didn't realize that he did it with the laser. I was scratching my head about that very thing. Like, how the fuck do you lay all that out so perfect and symmetrical on both sides? But laser would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, pretty smooth.
Yeah, really nice.
Yeah, buddy.
Is there pictures of him shooting the laser, laying it out?
No, it said finally using the laser what it was meant for or something.
Okay. Oh, yeah, he's got it running down the blade too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, you love to see that, right? That kind of creativity used on pieces like these that are, I would call them historically styled. Maybe that's not the right way to describe it. That's the way I think of these kinds of pieces.
Yeah. And I think the end of those are lasered on, kind of like the other fellow that does them. Like a real deep laser etch.
Okay.
Really bitchin' stuff.
Yeah, very cool.
Nice pick.
Okay, and so the last one, my pick for Tom, this is 1,000% in the category of a pick that I would pick for myself as well. And this is kind of maybe this isn't a fair pick because there's a little bit of retread because I've talked about my love for this before.
Yeah, I love that. Was that at the show this week?
That's a great question. I did not see it there. We did see Jason, but I didn't see this knife. Did you, Sean?
Not that one. Now, he had a fucking huge one.
Yeah.
Big old kook, yeah.
Yeah, I actually sent a picture of one of those knives to Ben probably 2 or 3 days ago because he's on a big kukri binge. But I love Jason's knives, and his kukris are so cool.
Yeah, so I'm failing to describe for the kids at home. So what I sent was a picture of a recent work by Jason Knight that is an integral Damascus Kukri. And we've talked about Jason's kukris on the show a bunch of times in the past. I would really, really want one bad. Even a plain one, right? This one is dressed out and has what looks like a couple different types of Damascus. One at the joint between the wood handle and the main integral part of the bolster, and just these giant fullers, beautiful shape, just an absolutely stunning piece.
They're mind blowing. I love Jason, and his work is unparalleled.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, super badass piece. So, Merry Christmas, Tom.
Thank you.
And super cool dude, man. I mean, always like a chance to get to talk with Jason.
Yeah, if you ever want to think outside the box, just talk to him. That's pretty much where he stays. I'm being serious.
In a good way.
I love it, you know.
But you see his influence all over the place now. I mean, there's so many knives that I'm like, it looks like a Jason Knight. You know, his impact is pretty far-reaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, influential to say the least. And that integral kukri in Damascus, to me, is a benchmark piece. I think that's just a fantastic example of his work and kind of how cool it can go, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I love to see he's a master smith that thinks outside the box and builds some crazy stuff, and most often it works so well. Like, I can remember he brought a knife to show me at Blade one year. He had some really nice desert ironwood on it that he'd blasted, and it was so cool. I would never think to blast it, and I would be terrified if I did.
Right.
But yeah, love it.
Yeah, so what did that look like, Tom? Blasted ironwood. I assume the wood holds up a lot more than most wood would if you tried to blast it, right? Where it would just blow out huge, deep sections of it.
It was so cool because it was like, you know how when you blast G10, you get those lines? Like, it's almost like a topo map.
Yeah.
The desert ironwood did that too. So it was super grippy and kind of a matte finish. It was beautiful. And it was very, very functional.
Yeah, the functional piece I can see, but it was actually beautiful to look at as well.
Oh, yeah. It was just a matte, you know, seems like everyone, me included, wants to, like, you know, take your exotic woods to the satin to high gloss.
Right.
And I've stepped back. I used to do the high gloss, and I'm doing satin now, but with the flat matte color, you know, finish, it was really beautiful, and it was very grippy.
Very cool.
Stunned.
Well, all good picks, fellas. I think that was a fun one.
Yeah. What about stocking stuffers? You guys do any of those?
Yeah, I completely forgot. I can start if you want, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, go.
All right. So I don't have a link, but you can look it up. There's, I picked a couple of eating related things that I think people would enjoy that are maybe not even knife people. So there's sort of a fancy spork out there that Gerber makes called the Gerber Devour. Do you have one of those, Tom?
I don't.
It's sort of a stylized spork that has a textured handle, sort of an offset set of tines on the end of the spork, and then it's got a clip on the back that I think you could use as a clip, but I think it's got a bottle opener and a can opener sort of stuff. So it's got like a little multi-tool thing attached to the back. Does it sound like the right description?
Yeah, I got a link here.
Yeah. So I thought that'd be a really cool thing. It's sort of designed as a backpacking tool, but what I find a lot of times I would look at stuff like that and say, oh yeah, that's cool, but I don't really have any use for it if I don't go backpacking a lot. But a lot of times those backpacking things make fantastic lunchbox tools, right? So if you pack
stashed in your pack.
Yeah, right. But if you keep it in your regular pack that you carry stuff around in, or if you take your lunch to work or whatever, these things can be really, really handy. So, and I thought that one was cool. It comes in some nice colors and stuff too.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, they have a burnt bronze. It's beautiful. They got an olive, like flat sage color, they call it. But that thing is really, really cool looking. Now, I don't know what it is. What is that material? Is it aluminum or is it tie or what? I don't know. I would assume the multi-tool on the back is steel, but wait, they don't call it a spork. They call it a multi-function fork. Oh yeah, 7075 aluminum. Very cool. Okay, so that was one. The other one, I think I actually have a set of these in my lunch bag that I just leave in the bottom of my lunch bag, and that is a set of Thai silverware. So a fork, knife, spoon in titanium from Vargo.
Yep, I've got the same set.
Yeah, so they're another backpacking stuff kind of company. The set, I think the set that I have is in a little drawstring bag or something. It weighs nothing. You throw it in the bottom of your lunch bag or your fancy backpacking rig or whatever. And even people that don't know anything about knives or EDC stuff or anything else, anytime someone's seen that and asked about it, they're like, what? Titanium? And they're cheap. They're like $20 or $25 or something for the set. And I think they're really cool. So stocking stuffers that I thought were fun. Okay, you got yours up, Tom?
Oh, yeah, son of a bitch. I was sitting in a chair and I got a Charlie horse. So I'm sitting for too long.
Oh, man.
And getting old, that shit happens.
Yeah, the night we got to my in-laws' house, it's about a 9-hour drive from our place down here. And that night when I was in bed, I was laying there and I did the thing where you roll over in bed. And I'm like, oh man, I've been sitting in the car all day and I'm kind of stretching in bed and I push my heel out on one of my legs and oh fuck, my calf got a giant Charlie horse. It was awful.
And then you're trying to remember, do I push or do I pull or...
Right, exactly. Yeah. Panicking. Yeah. That's what I do anyway.
I'm standing up now, so that's better.
Do you want me to go next, Tom?
Nah, I got it. I'm on it.
I got it.
So, here's something that's not going to fit in your stocking. Kind of goes with the eating thing. And I've picked up, I think I've got 3 of them next door to give as gifts this year. And I've actually drop shipped a couple of them. The price has gone up over the last 2 weeks, about $10. But, I got one of these 3 months ago and it is freaking awesome. It's called a Weber Go Anywhere Charcoal Grill. It's not really knife related, but it's a cool gift, like EDC kind of, because you can take it with you.
Did I see a picture of you guys out back of your shop cooking on this thing?
Yeah, dude, it's awesome.
That's funny.
And it folds up. I've got it in my car right now. We took it camping, but really cool. I can't say enough nice things about these little grills, and they're like $65 now. They went up, but yeah, pretty cool. The other one that I've got, and it's more EDC type stuff.
Tom, I assume this little grill is a thing where the legs somehow articulate and flip up on top and hold the top and the bottom halves together or something.
Yeah, so you can carry it like a suitcase.
Yeah.
And it's pretty small, but honestly, it's like a really nice size. It seems like most of the big charcoal grills take forever to get lit up, and this one you can fill up one of those chimneys about 2/3 full, and that's all you need to grill on, and it gets smoking hot for steak and hot dogs. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah, I really think it's cool.
This is a fantastic example. Tom sent us an Amazon link. This is a fantastic example of one of those things where I look at it and I'm like, expert assembly? Do I need expert assembly for this item?
No, you don't.
And oh, by the way,
I mean,
it's a tiny charcoal grill for $65, and the expert assembly is $99. Really?
Oh yeah, you can pay for that. I didn't even notice.
Oh yeah, I just noticed it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I wouldn't spring for that. I put it together in about 5 minutes, and I'm not very smart.
Expert assembly. That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
All right. You said you had another one?
Yeah, so the other one that I really like, and I've carried one of these on my keychain for a long time, it's a Rovivon. It's a little rechargeable light. They're really great. I really like them. The Aurora A7X. They're really cool lights. They're really useful. They plug in, so they always stay charged. But yeah, really cool and cheap. And I gave these to my kids like 2 years ago, I think. They all got them. So yeah, I've given away quite a few of them as gifts. And I mean, it's 650 lumens, and it's the size of half your little finger or so, you know?
Damn.
Yeah, I'm going to call. I think this is a retread. I think we talked about this before because I remember mentioning Chris Crow on air. He's the guy that pointed this out to me.
Oh, yeah.
And,
well, sorry.
What do you mean?
I didn't mean to retread.
Oh, no. And it might have been the A5X because I know that was an earlier version of it, right? Or maybe an alternate to this. But yeah, I agree. These are super, super useful. And the fact that you don't have to swap batteries, you can just plug it into a micro USB and charge it, makes it ultimately useful to me personally.
And and the one that I linked is glow in the dark, and it's got like a UV light on the inside, so you can punch that and it makes the glow super bright.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Don't worry though, Michael. It's not really actual UV or good UV. It's just like kind of UV, that
Does
color.
That freak you out? Does UV freak Michael out?
Not that I know.
Oh, I'm thinking of when he was going on vacation. His kids wanted UV light to see scorpions in the desert, and he was afraid of what they were going to see in places they were staying.
Yeah.
Turn it on in the hotel room.
You'll turn it on inside, and then we'll have to go somewhere different.
Right. Yeah.
You'll have to move hotels.
UV and germ phobia or fear of murder scenes or any of that is a bad combo.
It's not the murder I'm worried about.
No, I know. Yeah.
Oh, something got murdered, all right.
Yeah, right. DNA evidence everywhere. Yeah, I agree. These are super useful. In fact, my little work bag that I have sitting right next to me, there's one on a leash inside there just because they're so handy. Awesome choices.
You got anything, Michael or Sean?
No, I picked a flashlight, but yours is cooler than the one I picked.
Oh.
Yeah, I went on Amazon, found a little Phoenix E12 for $27. But it's a little AA battery. You know, I picked it because of the AA, not a funky battery. I was like, that's really fun little.
That really makes a difference, though. Having batteries that you can just simply put in.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It does for me.
Oh, yeah.
But now I want yours.
Well, it's not Christmas hasn't come yet.
There you go.
That's right.
Get Abby to put one in your stocking.
Mm-hmm. And then I also found on Blade HQ, The Ultimate Book of Everyday Knots for $12. Ooh. I thought would be a pretty cool gift for somebody.
Yeah.
Because knots are awesome, and it's kind of a great flex when you're like tying your truck up and you're just like beep, beep, beep. You're doing a double hitch, super loop, whatever, real quick, and boom, you're off.
The old double hitch super loop. Mm-hmm. Couldn't agree more.
Pretty popular.
No, I like that. A useful book. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very nice. Good picks, Michael. I was talking to Michael recently about a flashlight. I want to get a flashlight for my daughter to carry in her pocket. And I ended up picking one that was, I kind of went back and forth. Do I try to find one that uses regular batteries like AA, AAA, or do I find one that is rechargeable in an easy way from USB or something else? And I ended up going the rechargeable way like this Rovivon. But I think one or the other, there's so many great choices in very powerful or very useful flashlights out there in normal batteries, right? Where you don't have to have lithium ion and a $40 charger to jack with them or, carry spares with you or whatever. That, I don't know. There's a lot of super real world useful stuff.
I think you made the right choice because the younger people are so used to plugging everything in already. I think that's just second nature for them.
Exactly.
Well, I have flashlights I don't use because I don't have the batteries.
Right.
And it's like, I either have to go to a special store or or don't think to order them.
Yep.
I've always got AA's, AA's.
Absolutely.
Send them to me. I've got batteries. I don't want them to be unused.
Oh, yeah. Right. Because they'll get used at Tom's, or at least they'll have the ability to be used at Tom's.
Yes.
Like all the knives at Tom's, I'm sure they all get used.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I did have the guy that works for me. We pulled all the Randalls out, and I had him totally clean them all, and they all have a coat of Ren wax now.
Oh, nice.
So they're all nice and shiny.
Yeah.
Very nice.
You. It's good to have people, Tom.
Is he getting fired today? Because you said he worked for you, then he works for you.
No, he's not getting fired today. It's holiday season. Of course not.
Is this some kind of way? This is a weird way to fire someone.
I'm not firing anyone.
So long, Daniel.
Son of a...
Tom, why don't you just tell him, look, son, it's not working out.
And by the way, Merry Christmas.
I very much appreciate both of the people that work for me very much. Nobody's getting fired.
Yes, let's be clear. No one's getting fired.
Till after the holidays.
Yet.
Yeah, we heard you.
Gosh.
Keeping the specter open that it could happen. That's
Okay.
that's
Here's
key.
your severance flashlight.
Severance of flashlight. Damn, that's cold.
I feel like words are being put in my mouth. Or intentions, or I don't know, something.
Okay, all apologies.
Just saying, if Daniel quits, he's just has to drive, north a little bit. He'll have a job.
Right. Yeah, instead of a 30-minute drive, you can have a 3-hour drive.
Hey, that's his problem.
All apologies to Tom's crew. We're just joking about getting fired. Sorry, you're not fired, apparently.
Nope.
Okay, Sean, you have anyone you want to fire on air?
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much a stocking stuffer, but I did want to mention it, is the Stingray wallets from Atom Unlimited.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just really nice. Like the Stingray wallet with the shark skin interior. Like that's a forever wallet.
Heck yeah.
Did I tell you I saw him in a movie?
What?
Yep. We were watching something, and I was with Abby, and I was like, was that Adam? And she's like, who? And I was like, Adam from, where I used to buy my Stingrays from back in the day. And sure as shit, he's got an IMDb and everything.
Really? Check that out.
Mm-hmm.
What movie?
I don't remember. It was like he said something, and I was like, that's there's no way. But ended up, it was way.
Yeah, that stuff wears like iron, man.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, what a nice piece.
Oh, dude, it's just a really great looking wallet, especially, you get one of the ones that has the eye on it.
Yeah. And shark on the inside. I love shark, man. That's just such cool material.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
I don't understand how they sew that stuff. The little bumps on the Stingray are like rocks, man.
You ever got any that was untreated?
No.
I thought I was going to be cool and go ultra traditional and get the untreated whatever stuff, and it will rip your. I mean, it is like sandpaper.
Oh, it's super sharp.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty crazy. You have to wet it. You have to mold it. It's
Interesting.
Does it smell like fish when you wet it?
No, just kind of a salty weirdness to it.
Huh. All right. Does that wrap it up, fellas?
Cobra Kai.
Cobra
What I saw
Kai.
him
Oh,
Yep.
where you saw him. Okay. Oh, that's funny.
Who is he in Cobra Kai?
He played somebody in like it was either a restaurant or something. He had like one line or something, but I was just like, what?
That's awesome.
Wow. Okay.
Very cool.
Awesome picks all around. Lots of things that folks are looking for something for their knife bro. We get the full range covered. I guess that's it on the holiday thing. Just some comments. Thanks, everybody, for the feedback. We had this Jens Enzo episode that's been very well received. We've gotten lots of nice discussion and feedback about the interview. People really liked hearing from Jens, as did we, right? It was a really fun discussion, really interesting one. So thanks for listening to that, and check that out. We appreciate everybody's feedback. We get lots of conversation in our Facebook group. Good discussion there about all of our topics and episodes. There's always conversation after the fact. So if you're not in our Facebook group and you want to talk a little bit about the show, or if you want to talk about something that you saw that this all reminded you of or made you think of, definitely swing by there and join us. Make sure you answer the questions for the Facebook group, because we won't let your ass in if you don't answer the questions. So please join us there and give us your comments. I wanted to mention, too, that we want to ask folks to go ahead and hit us with an iTunes review if you haven't done that before. That always helps the show as far as visibility in Apple Podcasts. So if you use that platform to get your podcast, please leave us a review there through, I keep saying iTunes, even though it isn't in there anymore. I guess there is no iTunes, or maybe that's some kind of sub-branded thing. But in Apple Podcasts, leave us a review if you can. That helps us out. Thanks again to all of our Patreon supporters, and for all of your support in keeping us moving. We appreciate you all. And then one thing we wanted to mention was we had a recent passing in the community. Sean, you want to speak a little bit about that?
As many of you know, Daryl Ralph passed this past week. And man, Daryl was a hell of a knife maker. He had a very recognizable design language of his own. He was very influential. And on top of that, he was always really cool to me. He was always very active in the local Ohio scene when I was starting out. And he was always really positive about my work, and it really helped me gain my confidence really early on. So I was sorry to hear that. And we'll just say rest in peace and Godspeed, sir.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yep. Condolences to Daryl's family. Definitely a unique figure in the community, and a guy that had much broader reaching appeal outside the knife world into, celebrities and a bunch of other folks, and a lot of exposure for the knife world through Daryl Ralph. Not a stranger to controversy, but it seemed like he liked it that way. So definitely a significant passing in the community. I think that's it, fellas. Good conversation. Lots of territory we covered here, kind of all in one episode. As we sort of head our way into the holidays. It's kind of crazy to think about, isn't it, that they're wrapping up the year?
It's crazy.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
Yeah, thanks, all.
Thanks.
Thanks, folks.
To learn more about our makers, you can find Tom Crine on the web at crineknives.net, in his Facebook group, Crine Knives, or in his Instagram account at Crine Knives. For Michael Birch, check birchtreeblades.com, Facebook group Birch Tree Blade Works, or Michael's Instagram at birchtreeblades. For myself and the Raygun Bead Project, we're on the web at raygundivision.com. We have a Facebook group called Raygun Division, or my personal Instagram at msteiner. For those interested in photos, references from the show, or some discussion about the show itself, you can find us on the web at markofthemaker.com, in a Facebook group called Mark of the Maker, or on our Instagram at Mark of the Maker. Last but not least, the ultra cool and haunting background music we use for the show is a piece called Noir Guitar by Stevie's Amp Shack, found at the Free Music Archive and licensed under Creative Commons CC BY 4.0. Thanks for listening.